probably because I'm muted. Sorry about that. Don't know why I was muted. Apologize. Appreciate that, Will. So, let me repeat what I was saying then. Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't realize I'd hit the mute button. What I was talking about is the red light in the Grand Masters. So I have complete control over 4 different channels of this spectrum. So I have, it's a full spectrum when I have everything on. So I've got cool white, warm white, red, deep red. I had the red on with no deep red, but just the red. And I was not getting an algae bloom, that string algae in the creek. As soon as I removed the red, literally like less than 48 hours later, I'm noticing huge blooms of that string algae. String algae is not a big deal. Actually, it's great in it's food. I don't want it to take over though. That's the problem. But you can see it. Look how the algae is creating oxygen. So algae is literally photosynthesizing and creating oxygen. In the water. So all I got to do is take this oxygen-rich, poo-rich algae and stick it right in the soil here and let the critters go to town. And they'll do the job for me of basically eating the algae, breaking it down, pooing it out, and then continuing on into the soil food web. These are just bio bags, Chemi Pure bags is what they're called. And I've had these sitting in the creek. Basically, they help. The creek is my filter. If you're new to the channel, we have a pond over here, and it's a complete indoor regenerative system that we built from scratch. Let me zoom out here. There we go. And we're in the process of building another one. This side is going to be for food and a kid-friendly channel. So this is a yellow skunk pond gardens. So I'm basically creating a pond creek garden where the pond is feeding the soil. So we have our resident goldfish over there, and then we have cooter, a slider turtle. See him over there, that's Cooter. And then we have Scooter. Scooter is another slider turtle. She's the female. Cooter is the male. I'm pretty sure Scooter's back over behind that log there. And then we then we have the terrestrial side, which this side is for Digger. And Digger is our resident box turtle, baby box turtle. And I believe he's up in there, usually where he hangs out during the day. It's up in that crack, up underneath that rock. I appreciate it, goat. The Monstera is crazy. I mean, it is just going completely insane. It loves being in the pond and in the terrestrial side here. Now, I haven't started growing anything but the Monstera in this terrestrial side just because I don't have a light over it. That's why the Monstera is kind of reaching to these 3 Grand Masters that we have over here. So the creek runs through the whole soil garden. So it gets dumped in back there, which the Monstera has completely covered up where you can see it dumping in at. And then we have the jasmine, the pink jasmine. That's completely taken over. And we have the D-hue dumping in water on the top, coming through that jasmine, dripping in, hitting the creek, topping us off with D-hue water. And it flows on around and ends up coming back into the pond over here. The biggest trick to this is getting the water to wick properly up into the soil pockets. So I'm going to sit down here for a second and kind of explain how this works. You can actually see an elephant ear tree growing up there, and there's another one growing over there. But this whole system is in a horizontal soil system. I apologize, there we go. I'm on my cell phone, so you have to excuse me. This is in a horizontal soil system. So it's built, basically, we're on concrete floor. This is in an old garage. And we just built a sandbox. Digger's Edition is extra. It was just the box at first. So the box is 12 foot long by 9.5 feet wide. And there's a soil, we had a male here, and actually that male, it only took about less than a month to completely break down the roots. And this is what we're trying to create. We're trying to create the soil food web. But we're also trying to bridge, those are isopods. There's a yellow isopod right there. There's some just regular old gray ones. We got dairy cows in here. And the trick is, if you want to see some isopods, actually, let's go up underneath the turtle shell. This is the hotel. Check that out. Those are dairy cow isopods just chilling up in there. They love it up underneath that shell. They love to sit up in there and reproduce. So the creek system is the water, as long as it's flowing, it's wicking water up into these soil beds. And what that's doing is watering and feeding the soil. Let's see here. Let's go up and you can see this grass is really starting to come over. We don't really, you can see the acorns. Everything in here is natural. You're not going to have any perlite. We won't see any perlite in here. So the roots are what's giving me aeration. Stuff like acorn shells, rocks, pebbles, sand, silt, clay. All this is being broken down by these worms. Look at that aggregate. That is an aggregate right there. Look at that. It is completely aggregated. Now, if you put this under a microscope, I appreciate that, fish guy. How deep can I make it? No, you can, let's take into consideration, let's continue on the horizon. Sorry, I got off track. I do that a lot, so y'all have to keep me up. Especially when I just took a freaking bone hit. All right. So we've got the floor. We've got, from there, it's pea gravel. Then sand, silt, and clay and organic matter from the reservoir that we live on here. So the same material that we use to go into the creek, it's basically sand, silt, and clay. You can see the shrimp. Those are cherry shrimp. The creek is full of cherry shrimp. This is just a nitrate pad that you would put in a freshwater aquarium. We set that in the creek, and that's kind of catching a lot of that poo. We take these and we can set them right up in into the soil bed, and then the worms will literally, in the isopods, worms, everything will clean the pad for us. You can see how clean it is. I just flipped it over. Here's another one over here. Like, they'll just clean all the poo out. Look at all the mites and all the isopods, worms. They'll eat all that shit and drop it right back into the system. Then we just take this, after it's been cleaned, we can just tap it off, get it in there. So we go sand, silt, clay, that same material, we fill in the gaps of that pea gravel all the way up to about here, because you got to remember that sand, silt, and clay is meant to be in water, so it's got microbiology in there that's meant to be wet. So this is where our reservoir is going to be. So we're just bringing that sand, silt, and clay and that pea gravel up to where we want to be, right up to about this point right here where the box stops. All right, and then we're going to add a clay layer, a red clay layer, just like I have outside here in the yard. So I would dig down, have a road that goes around here, and where we dug out, you know, you get that organic layer on top, and then it's soil mixed with sand, silt, and then you get that clay. And the further deeper you go, the redder the clay will get. I don't put a big thick layer. It's just a maybe an inch, maybe an inch and a half layer of red clay on top of that sand and silt. That's our barrier for the soil to go on top of. So we're mimicking nature here is all we're doing. But we're not mixing the clay in the soil. We're gonna create layers. So everything is in layers. Boom, that's how nature does it. Boom, 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 boom. And then once we get up to this organic layer, we can put our soil in. So the soil doesn't really have to be that deep. I only used 24 bags. So whatever that one, I think it was what, a cubic foot per bag. So I think I had 24 bags of soil. And then we laid our soil in. And then we brought in IMO 4 and 5 that we made here on the property. Using indigenous microorganisms from the woods that we have here. I made a bunch of IMO 3 and 4 and 5. And if you don't know what that is, then I would suggest we could go to Chris Trump's YouTube channel and just look up natural farming techniques or Korean natural farming, KNF, and look up Chris Trump. He's got a ton of videos. There's a lot of other people out there who are doing it. You just look up Korean natural farming if you want to. But I learned from Chris Trump. That's where I started. This was like 5 years ago now, that I found Korean natural farming. And we were running a bag, a 4x4 over here in horizontal soil. And I couldn't get it to work in a 4x4. Simply because I didn't have it set up right. Once I learned how to set it up, I was like, we should just go big with this. Let's just, boom. I measured it out. Another key factor is that the whole system is on a 1-inch plane. So from back there to here, we're on a 1-inch plane sloping down. And when we get to this corner here, this is our drop hole. This is our water hole. This goes all the way to the floor. You can see there's moisture down there, but not a lot. It's just, you can see the liner down there, and you can see some moisture, and that's fine. When we first started, it filled up. I mean, and I guarantee you, when we cut these plants, boom, 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 that will fill up with water, because these plants are what is sucking up a lot of that water. I've got this plant here. This plant's beautiful, but we've got seed. Everything's seeded this time. And this plant here is not loving life, I'll tell you. This is I call this one droopy. It's really not doing well. The leaves are drooping. And the reason is because we found a water pocket. Basically, this dog fennel here was literally pulling so much water up into this crack here, going into this soil pocket, and it was just, everything was just saturated way too much. And the reason it wasn't draining properly is because the worms have turned all of this into worm castings. And when this gets too wet, turns to mud, and if it gets compacted in any way, it will go or not hydrophobic, anaerobic on us, and won't allow any air into the system. So this plant here is basically suffocating right now. The soil is so muddied up, and what I've been doing is taking a rod and poking it down in there and moving it. Yeah, I'll show you. I've got that rod right over here. Trying to aerate the soil and trying to break open those worm castings. Yeah, a lot of thoughts going into this, dude. Yeah, years. We got the alpha dog, Maui. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're getting ready to pop some seeds too. We've got, actually I've got them sitting right over there. I'm getting ready to throw some soil in some pots. But what I've been doing is taking this and just kind of working it, not much. I don't want to compact anything more than what I have to, but I do want to aerate. And the worms and everything will just put this right back together. I don't want to till. I do want to, I kind of want an intelligent tillage. You know what I mean? Like I kind of want a chicken scratch, like something's coming around, chicken scratching. I don't want to dig up everything, but I want things to kind of reset. Because things right now are anaerobic down there. And we know this because the plant is struggling. It can't get air. And it's all about air. Well, a lot of it's about air. A lot of it's about carbon. You can talk about carbon if you like. Carbon is, well, kind of what we're made of. And what these things thrive on. Ugh. Copper rods. No, I haven't. I have a lot of I'm using this granite rock, and I've got a lot of clays. I think that a copper rod would be a good addition. The more I learn about electromagnetism and all that stuff, I would think that probably a copper rod, like, boom, right there in a corner, or even all four corners, like boom, 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 kind of replicate that, kind of like what you're talking about, that magnetism and that I don't understand it fully myself yet, but it's kind of crazy. I don't know if anybody really fully understands it, but they know that copper rods, like I heard that you could put copper on your roof, run a rod down inside the room, and put a panel, so basically you could run a copper panel, and that copper outside will take those ions, those rays, those sun rays, and transmit them through the copper into the panel. And if you can somehow take that panel and then run another copper rod down into the soil, it basically transmits sunlight through the copper down into the soil, and you can do the same kind of thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds cool. It sounds like it could. Like this plant here, doing great. Look at this thing. Beautiful, no disease, no nothing. I've got a good handle on how much water's coming into this soil pocket, but the center one, it's surrounded by it. And I had it all up through here. I had the whole thing all through here. And then that dog fennel was just rooted in. Here, let me show you. This shit was just rooted all up in this. Look at the roots. and it was it was mudded, all the worms had turned all this, and there was it's still wicking water up in there. God damn. But it's crazy how much it wicked and how wet this stays. And it only has to touch a little bit before it starts to wick. And look how wet I haven't watered this at all. It just stays wet. Too wet. Turns to mud. Because the worms have run through all the sand and silt like this. You know, they can't run through this sand and silt down here. But once it gets up on the land here, they just run through it like it's crazy. I mean, because it's full of bacteria. It's full of all that poo that's being wicked up into it. And the worms love that grit. Especially when the grit is silt. And that silt is so fine, they can just suck it right on up. They really can't do that much with the sand. The sand particle is a little too big for them, depending on the size of the worm, of course. But the silt is really easy. Oh, I'll show you. They're probably underneath here now. Yeah, look at them. They just love breaking down. So the bacteria is breaking down the mineral from this rock. From underneath that rock, the bacteria is just working it. And then the worms are working that bacteria, releasing the mineral that the bacteria had mined from the rock. So that's kind of how the cycle works. The soil food web from Dr. Elaine Ingham, God rest her soul. We lost her this week. So may she rest in peace. A pioneer in the soil. She invented the soil food web. Yeah, we owe a lot to that lady, that woman. She was a genius in the field. This is just an old stalk here. But that's the soil food web. This is what I tried to create. So it's all about creating a home for biology. And we need the whole cycle has to be complete in order to get the full function, to be able to see what's really going on in a system like this, and be able to how I can adjust the light, how some cultivars do great and some just bleh, don't really like it at all. And that's what I'm hunting. I'm hunting for cultivars that like this type of environment. If they can grow in this environment, we're going to get the full potential. We will get the full potential of the genetics. This is Jolly Pond's Marmalade Grove, and it is cotton candy. But we got seeds, so you know this is going to finish probably in not too long. Look at all the seeds. Here, let's go down here and let's pull a seed. I want to pull one from down here. I mean, all I gotta do is grab a little small piece of it. And let's take a look at the seed. I looked at one yesterday. Yeah, that energy magnetized. Oh yeah, look at that seed. It's a good developed seed. It's still a little green, so we still got some time, but it's sticky. Can't get it off my hand. She's got some veins. That's good. Got some veins developing. Got some tiger stripes developing. That's good. It's a nice fat, hard seed, so that's good. Looks like they're going to be valuable. Some of them just turn white and just turn to dust. Don't fill out very well, you know, if they don't grow right. But this one is hard. I just popped it, but it's got all its necessary ingredients, I hope, to do a next good run. This one here is the same. Marmalade Grove, full of seeds. healthy looking things. I mean, I mean, I can't explain to you the terpiness of it. Like, my hand is stuck together. Let's do another. It's so freaking terpy. I mean, immediately it's like an orange, bubblegum, cotton candy, gas. The other one over there is more cotton candy, uh, got some orange. This one here is, that one started off super cotton candy, but it's losing it. It's kind of going into the gas realm. This one is coming into the more cotton candy now, more bubble gum. Definitely got some gas. I smell the orange though coming. I smell that apricot. That's what I smell. Mm-hmm. Definitely distinct orange there. See, we're getting some red streaking in this one too. The other one did it as well. That's probably just lockout, or it could be genetic. I don't know. It's probably a little lockout. Things are a little moist down there. Getting a little bit of blockage in the vein there somewhere. The chemicals are all wrong, so things don't usually look right. You see, we're not getting any streaking in this one. Like the two yellow skunks are showing like they love it. Then you come over here to these, same soil pocket, same everything, and you start to see the streaking. So I'm saying that's probably a lot of genetic. They don't like the soil environment down there too much, but they're still going to be 100% valuable. They're just, a lot of times you get that red streaking when something isn't quite right, but towards the end here, you usually see it. You usually see a lot of crazy shit towards the end. But when you do it right, when they love in life, I mean, look how green it is. You don't see any yellowing in the stalk. You don't see any yellow or red streaks. Everything just seems to be humming along. It loves it. These are seeded. That's Mr. Clean all day long. I don't care. I mean, it's got that, it's lemon lime chemi, like a chemi smell. Very distinct lemon lime. Let's go over here and take a gander. Sorry, but I need to get me some new camera equipment. So new camera equipment's coming, guys. I promise. It's coming. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Got a lot of things running through my head about the new project. But yeah, I got to get some microphones, and I know they're cheap. I just haven't been procrastinating. Come down here. Look at the ivy. It's starting to go crazy. So we lost the dandelion pretty much. Still hanging in there a little bit, but the other one over here, and we got the elephant ear tree. We took this big one down, but look, it's already coming back. They never die. You'd have to pull all this out to get them to die. They're constantly putting out new stuff. But here's the old dandelion, pretty much gone. This is a good thing actually for our soil, because it lets me know that dandelions are considered weeds, but they're medicinal weeds. But they're there to repair calcium, usually. Like you have a calcium deficiency in your soil if you see dandelions. So if you see dandelions, you usually you have you're calcium deficient in your soil, mainly because these things have a huge taproot, big old fat white taproot. It's pulling that calcium up from the ground because calcium is one of the heaviest elements. So it's going to sink. You can see that big old taproot there being eaten. Come around this way. Look at that being eaten. They're just working it, destroying that taproot, bringing that calcium up. That's what this plant does. That's why it's so medicinal. Once it's got it up here, it'll die off because it's done its job. It's a mechanic. Those weeds are there for a reason. They're working it, working that soil. You can come under here. Ooh, moth. I get moths a lot. I think I got them. But I'm the best at I don't spray anything. I'm not spraying shit in this room. Other than like ferments or something. I might spray a ferment. Look. This is what we need to look for. This is good soil. It stays wet too. Look how moist it is. And I don't water. All that moisture comes from the edge of this creek here. It's being wicked up. Being wicked up by all this grass. It pulls all that, turns all this into worm castings. Pretty cool. And we had our male here. This is where our male. That's why there's nothing in there. This was our male. This was the stump. Look. That's all that's left. It's still being worked down right now. That's why isopods are such crucial. Of course, you can't keep them out either anyway. I'm not going to push this back down. That'll create compaction. We don't want to create compaction. I'm just going to lay it back down in there. Let this kind of take over there. Yeah, I'm going to let the seeds go. I'm not going to chop the plant until it's ready. Like, I'm going to let the seed really get hard, look good. Yeah, we're going to let them run its course. They're 70 to 90 days on these sativas. So I'm on day 53 right now. So we're day 53. I got 63. We probably got 20 more days, realistic. 15, 2 weeks, you know. So now I'm getting ready to start to plant. I'm getting ready to plant my next round. Get them going in some pots. I bring those indoors. Yeah, the new one's going to have a stream and pond and everything. It's going to have a whole new system. We're going to create a whole new system. We're going to have to bring in a new dehu. So we'll have 2 dehumidifiers. The HVAC can handle this whole room. It's not a problem. I think we got enough fans. I got this one just turned off right now, but I probably should turn it back on just because. Not that loud. Then we have that wall fan turned off as well, but I have another fan here, there, we've got them there, all those fans. I've got another exhaust there coming down out. It's clogged up right now. I've got it clogged up, but this whole corner I used to have, that's why you see this black tarp here. I cut it out. Actually, it was a sliding curtain, and I had a whole new room over here, and it worked well for a little bit, but decided we didn't want to do that, go that route, so I cut it all out, and we went this route. You can see we don't have much room back here, but this is how it works. So we're just pumping up water out of the pond, going into there. The D-hue drops in there. We've got the jasmine running up. That's the dehumidifier. All I'm doing is rerouting air over into that corner. It's not going outside. That tube is wide open, just blowing air over into that corner, because I didn't want this air and this air just all right here. I wanted to throw that air over there into that area and kind of circulate that air as best as we could throughout the whole room. Because once we get this, I noticed the humidity went up just by bringing in more rocks. So the rock actually has moisture in it. And when you bring in rocks, you bring in moisture. So it'll be, quite a while before we can regulate. I've noticed it. I just had to turn the D-hue kind of down to 50. So being at 50 now keeps me right at 60 in the room. Basically keeps that thing running non-stop. So we just clean the filter. We clean the filter once a week. But that's a frigid air dehumidifier. They're like $300. They're rated for 1,500 square feet. And they're great. They're like bulletproof. What's up, baby? Dad grows. What's going on? Adam. Yeah, we're going to let those go. Yeah, the new system's going to be over here. There's the new pond. That's basically where the pond's going to be. This is going to be a smaller system than this, but we are going to connect the two right here. So if you can imagine, you're going to have a little, we already came up quite a bit. We're going to have to concrete this in, is next, but it's pouring down raining today, so we're not going to do it today. But yeah, we're going to build this up. And then this is where, actually right at this area here is where we're going to start the river rock. All of that's going to be brought up with the granite rock all the way up we get to about here. And then we're going to start the river rock from here. The river rock will be the mountain that we build up on top of. So this one will be basically a 3-tier system. This one is a 2-tier. This one's going to be 3. So we're just going to bring up the mountain a little higher, and then let that water come down. Boom, 2, and then boom into the creek, and then the creek's going to come and wiggle its way on down through here, and then turn up in that corner there, and then come back down. And then you got to imagine everything is going to be up. So just like this one over here, you can see how that height there is going to be about, it might be a little bit shorter, but that height is about where we're going to be down there. So this will all be up here. This will be taller than this because we're going up higher. And then we'll have soil, boom, all around the creek. Everything else will be soil. And wherever we plant, it will grow, because the water will be wicking into those soil pockets from that creek, and the moisture from the pond, it's a lot of moisture, it's a lot of water. But that's why it has to be in a horizontal soil system. That's why I wish I'd never laid this floor down. That was my biggest mistake of the whole grow, is laying this floor down. But who knew? I never knew I would be doing something like this when I put the floor down. So yeah, it is what it is. Wish I hadn't laid it. Wish I'd saved the $4,000, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, we'll build the ponds. I don't know how. It's not going to be as much. It's probably going to be 150 gallons. Just fish. We're not doing turtles. If we have a turtle over here, it'll be a friend for Digger. It'll be another box turtle or something, but we're really not even allowed to have box turtles. That one is registered. So all you gotta do is go online and give them a reason. We say we rescued Digger. So that's about what we got going on. That is going, like I said, that's going to be, it's going to be an all-year job. I mean, it's a task, mainly because once we get the rock, the foundation isn't that. We'll bring in the pond liner. So we bring pond liner in once we get the wall built, and then everything goes inside of a pond liner. So once we get this built, pond liner overlaps, just like over here, it overlaps the wood. So we're going to use the rock as our wood frame. So we just have a rock frame this time, and that's going to give us that liner we need for our reservoir. And then we bring in the pea gravel. So I use James River pea gravel. Oh yeah, this is. I mean, this type of thing is permanent. Yes, you do. Yeah, it would take a backhoe to get this out of here. You'd have to tear down the building, unless you want to bring a jackhammer in here and jackhammer all this out. I mean, it probably weighs 20 tons. You know, I mean, you got to imagine each one of these rocks weighs 80 pounds, with 50 pounds at least. So yeah, nah, but it's not that you can't do it in a place. You could set it up like in 4x4 grassroots beds. You just have to extend that liner all the way down in those beds, because in those beds have that air gap at the bottom of it. So a lot of those living soil beds have the plastic liner, but they leave an air gap at the bottom. That's a problem. So you just have to basically put the whole bag and wrap it in a liner, and then just create a smaller system. And you could set your tank off to the side, so your fish tank or whatever you're using could go outside of the bags, and then you just pump the water into the creek. You use the creek and then pump that water out into a fish tank and circulate the system like that. Use a fish tank on the side instead of a pond. That's just one way that I was going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, until I realized what I could build, in a system like this. Once I realized that, wait a minute, I could just use, because I have a fish pond outside. Me and my granddad put a fish pond outside years ago, 23 years ago to be exact. And I was like, I'd love to bring those fish in here. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just bring it. I was going to build a tub. I was going to have a plastic tub. I actually have the plastic tub sitting outside that I was going to use to put in here. I was going to use a plastic tub. But building around plastic, just in my head, I was like, you know what? Screw that. I don't want to use plastic if I don't have to. And so there's no plastic in here. It's all rock. It's all concrete. It's just masonry mix, and then we seal the concrete up with pond shield. So it's a two-part epoxy that can seal rock, can seal concrete, can seal pretty much pond liner, anything. You can use it for anything pretty much if you want to watertight. People use it on fish tanks a lot to seal up fish tanks. So Pond Shield is a great, and there are lots of other companies that build or that make the two-part epoxy that is fit. Just make sure it's fish safe. You got to make sure that the two-part epoxy is fish safe. So you can go to like a website like Pond Guys. Anybody that builds outdoor ponds is where you're going to get the best material to build something like this. That's the trick. You don't want to buy, AC Infinity DHU. Those are for tents. Those are for small areas. You need to get something that is for a, that DHU back there is rated for 1,500 square feet. And this is 500 square feet room. So it's just an old garage, basically, that I just turned into a shit show. But a cool one at that. A place where I could come chill in my chair and, just think about shit. But this is going to be for food over here. And I'm going to grow, whatever grows best. We're going to do tomato. We'll probably do, beans, carrots, herb garden. It can be full of food. And then we'll put the DHU back there on the table. Run that back into the pond. We can put 3 more lights. So we're going to hopefully get 3 more Grandmasters. Just like this one over here. Boom, boom, boom. We'll do boom, boom, boom. Don't need a light over the pond directly. We just need one there, here, and here. It'll give us plenty of light. That'll give us a lot of residual over in that area as well. So, and a lot of vegetables, don't need to be blasted like these guys do. Like these guys over here can take 1,200. I doubt, unless the tomato maybe. The tomato can do it, but everything else doesn't really need, to be blasted. But yeah, that's what we got going on. And the seed production, let's go over here and take a look at the seeds. I'll show you what we're going to run next. I've got some OK Cal. I got OK Calyx, some IMO. He sent us some IMO. We got IMO, I think it's 2 in there. And then this is IMO 3. So we would take this, and then he sends us all the stuff we need. So the JLF, Dom liquid fertilizer, and greens, brown manure, foliar, one day was brown. Smells like shit. Lactic acid bacteria. We make this is what we put into the creek and pond to keep it clean. Some humic acid. Calyx. So we'll take all these ingredients. We got compost extract. Got some comfrey, FPE, and purslane. Good stuff right here. Good stuff. Then he sent some seeds. The IMO busted a little bit. We got a little messy. Legendary cherry. And some legendary cherry for the kids. So we would take all these ingredients here and mix them, put them into this, activate this with all of this, and we get some crazy shit. So I get IMO 4. We can mix my back. All right, my back. Sorry, I can't go over there, I guess. So anyway, we're making. Let me go get my seeds over quick. I want to show you. I'll show them the seeds. But I can't stay over here because my phone will die off on me. All right. There's some other things in here. All right, here's what we got. This is from Luna All Day. This is from Luna Whitcomb, her Raspberry Deadhead. This is Deadhead OG times Raspberry Moon Cheese. I'm a fan of some cheese, so I asked her, I was like, what you got that's cheesy as shit? So she sent me this, Kim Dog times raspberry moon cheese. So we've got Deadhead OG times raspberry moon cheese and Kim Dog times raspberry moon cheese. So we're gonna pop a couple of each. We're probably gonna do, we'll pop 5 of these and 5 of these. Because I don't like popping them all at once, I like to save some. Just in case, you know. Then, okay, calyx over here. This is what I'm excited about. This is all feminized stuff. We got some Orangezilla Sour Orange Lima. Orange Lima times Sour D or Sour G. Okay. Orangezilla times Cherry Grande times Peach Pistols. Oh, this is his S1. Oh, I had the Cherry Grande times Peach Pistols. We grew that. That's one of my wife's favorites. Actually, we have to grow that again, actually, because the Cherry Grande times Peach Pistols was beautiful. We got to go back in my Instagram and look at that Cherry Grande times Peach Pistols. It was on our second run, I believe. And then we got Ice Cream Cake times Killer Berry. Ice Cream Cake times Killer Berry. Sounds delicious. I thought there was one more in here. Yep. Then I've got Blueberry Mac Muffin times Berry Cherry. This is the, where's my blueberry at? There it is. That's the one we were gonna definitely take extra care of. Then I've got some old bead leaf seeds that I have to run because I paid so much damn money for them. Truffle Knockout. I'm thinking these are gonna go outside. I'm gonna do these outside. Jelly Truffle. So I got Jelly Truffle times Truffle Knockout. And I bought these before he had his little episode. Yes, I have heard about his little episode, so you don't have to get on me about that. But I paid good damn money for those seeds, man. You know how much he charges for them things back in the day? I waited long enough. I got to pop those truffles. So that's what we're gonna be popping this round. Outside and inside. Y'all saw my address, that's fine. Y'all can send me whatever you want. Just don't show up. This is an old potato we put down in here. It's kind of like a little mini home for all these critters. Look at them working that potato. It's like a mini hotel down there. They're like, ah, they don't like that light. I appreciate that, man. Should that Wizard 69. I was trying to read your name. Was at Wizard. What's that? Wizard 69. Is that it? Appreciate that, brother. All right. I was going to pull some of this algae out of here. What we need to do is just pull some of the string algae out. Like I said, this is not a bad thing. You just can't let it get too thick, and then it'll slow the water up. And we need the water flow to continue. So in order to do that, we just have to do a little maintenance. This is called stewarding. Stewarding the land, so to speak. So we're just going to pull some of this stuff out, put it down in here, and let the worms and the critters have a snack. That'll also produce that algae in our soil that we need. Helps break down organic matter. It also puts photosynthetic properties into the soil, because the algae is photosynthetic. It's creating oxygen right now as we speak. Look at that. All that green bubble, that's all oxygen being created by that algae. That's a good thing. That's putting oxygen into our soil. That's why our grasses are so green. Why nothing goes anaerobic over here is because of that oxygen, because of the flow of the water. As long as it's flowing, it's creating oxygen around where it's bubbling, where it drops in at. So the more places we drop in at, creates that cycle, that airflow. It pulls that oxygen into the water. Wherever it's flowing and hitting rock, wherever it's turning, breaks the surface of the water, is where it's going to pick up some oxygen. And it's going to transmit that oxygen with the water as it wicks up into the soil. And you get this nice lush grass that will extend itself, keep extending itself all the way across. This is what we want it to do. We want it to extend this grass all the way to the edge. We can get this all the way to the edge. This grass is what's going to feed the biology in the soil all the time. We can just come right in and plant our plant right here and watch it go. It'll have everything it needs to thrive. Ah, cool. Mountains in Utah. Oh, cool. Appreciate that, man. Wasatch Mountains. I guess that's how you say that. Up that way, that's Indian country. I'm assuming that's up there with the natives. Never been to Utah. I've flown over to Vegas, but Utah, I think, no, I've never even flown over Utah. I don't think. Wasatch. Gotcha. Look at that. That's good stuff right there. That is photogenic algae, string algae, straight out the creek. This right here could feed everything in my pond. So the turtles eat it, fish eat it, shrimp eat it, all the biology trapped in it eat it. You put it in the soil, everything in the soil eats it. It's literally food for everything. And you just put it right there and they will devour it. And then they'll poop it out and just adding to the soil system. More nutrient to the soil for the plant to uptake. And this is how we're going to get the diversity that we need to give us flower that's completely got the full spectrum. You know what I mean? You're going to get everything this plant can produce as far as secondary metabolites, the flavor, so to speak. That's what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for flavor here. So I really want to produce secondary metabolites in the soil to produce that flavor. Basically, I want to create a buffet of nutrient, a whole line of nutrients down there for the plants to be able to uptake, for the biology to mine, be able to, the plant communicate with the sunlight and all those exudates that it's creating to push down into the soil. All that glucose that it's creating, basically the sugar, it's pushing down into its root system, and they can actually tell the microbes what it wants, when it wants it, and I don't have to do anything. It's pretty cool. See the tips, those burnt tips there on that one. Some of them are getting those burnt tips. It's just telling me it's coming to, you know, she's sucking some newts, man. She is going to start dying off now. We're coming to the end. She's going to start showing us now what she's made of, what she's going to produce, the smell. And this is straight lemon lime Kimmy. It is. If this wasn't seeded, this thing would get super, these buds would be big. And just because we seeded it so soon, that from what I understand, it's my first time ever doing this, so I've never bred before in my life, so I've never done it. This is my first time. We gotta start somewhere though, right? This is where we started. I can't wait for these seeds right here. These are going to be yummy. Yummy, yummy. We're going to get to see what we did. So, if you don't know, I seeded, it was one of these plants with this plant. So this is, you're going to say it's Blue Dream, the original Santa Cruz cut Blue Dream, crossed with, I mean, that Blue Dream was, it's called Daddy Fat Sacks from Nerds Genetics. It was a Blue Dream crossed with Airborne G13. Then the female was from Yellow Hammer Genetics. It was his Blueberry Skank, which Blueberry Skank was skunk number 1 crossed with Blueberry OG. We took that, found this, we crossed this with this now. So now we have this sativa crossed with the hybrid. We've got a little blueberry in with this orange apricot along with the OG. This has got Kush. So we're doing Kush to the OG with the blueberry OG to the Kush apricot and the Kush cotton candy. So we're going to see what we get. We never know. We might get lucky. Appreciate that, Wizard. Yeah, I'm sure it will. I know it's a beautiful state. I know it is. That's my kind of country, actually. Although I'm a mountain kind of guy. So, as you can tell. Holy shit, that's bubble gum. That is bubble gum, gas, lemon, orange, and if you add a little blueberry to that, yeah, we haven't watered, that's what I want to say, I haven't watered the system in like 5 months. Like I had that, if you were following, I had that tank with the wand, and I was kind of doing a morning dew like once every couple of days, and I found out that was a bad move. It was fungus gnats galore. We don't have to keep the top moist. The creek does that for us. It's wicking enough water here to not have to do any of that now. So it's quite nice not to have to water anything. It's all being wicked up from the bottom and wicked up from the side. So it's pretty cool little system how it works. Once we dial it in, once we figure out how you line the edge and where you need to line the edge for that water to wick up, and the amount of water that you can wick up at a time. It's pretty cool how it works. Nature's way. What's up, Coot? I see you. Where's your sister at? Never seen her. She must be up underneath there. Freaking monstera is a monster. It won't even fit in the camera zoom, really. So daggone big. And stretched like all the way over there. That's going to be up in the D-hue water here in a minute. I'm going to have to reroute that somewhere. And then this one over here has got huge. This one over here is stretching over to the wall. It's a monster. All right, well, I'm thinking what is it? Been on here an hour and 10 minutes. I'm hungry. Got Droopy over here. See how the leaves just droop. But the flavor's not quite as that one over there is money. This one here got big, got lanky, but it just never had the funk like the other one over there. And that's how it be sometimes, you know? Not that it ain't good. Just didn't have like that smell you're looking for. That one right there does, and that one there does. This big monster here might just turn this into some RSO or something. I don't even know if I want the seeds, you know what I mean? If it's not what doesn't mean the seeds won't be good. I don't guess. But I'd rather have the seeds that already have that funk to it. We're not picky. We'll have plenty, that's for sure. Them things are loaded with seeds. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. I think I'm going to go get some lunch. And hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.